Right, let's turn our attention then to the Monday night football. It's a huge game that's already got plenty of extra spice. Newcastle against Liverpool at St James's Park. One person who, of course, won't be playing is Alexander Isak, the transfer saga of the summer. Liverpool have had one bid turned down. He's adamant that he won't play for Newcastle again, accusing them of breaking promises. Newcastle have denied any commitment that he could leave the club this summer. And that is exactly what Chris Curry, the Newcastle supporter, and Liverpool fan Connor Ray have done. Good morning to both of you. Connor, does it make it a tougher game for you, everything that's going on, do you think?
Yeah, undoubtedly. I think Newcastle and St James's Park, as Chris mentions there, it's always a difficult place to go. And if, like ourselves, if there's one fan base that doesn't need any encouragement to get fired up and to make it even harder to go to their own ground, then it's Newcastle fans. So yeah, I think it's absolutely bound to be a difficult test. But champions have got to do what champions do and try and deal with that pressure. Maybe try and silence the crowd early on and take it from there. Try and stay in control of the game. We saw in the World Cup final last season how that didn't happen when Newcastle players and fans were arguably more up for it than Liverpool were, and what the result of that can be. So I think it's important we don't let that happen tonight.
Chris, if Alexander Isak stays, do you want him back in the matchday squad, or are you in the camp of just allowing him just to rot and not play? Because my opinion is, if he's still part of the football club and the window shuts, I think he'll be back in the matchday squad and playing for Newcastle again. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I'll try not to get splinters answering this question, Charlie, to be honest. But there's two ways to look at it. There's the emotional response and the logical response. The emotional response is, as a Newcastle fan, you're outraged at the behaviour and the statements and all of the refusal to play for the club and everything else. But the logical side of you as a fan says you've got the third best centre forward on the planet in your squad, and if he is still here when the window shuts, you would be crazy not to integrate him back into the squad. I mean, Eddie Howe spoke very well, as he always does, and I would trust Eddie Howe's judgment on the player. If Eddie Howe thinks for 1 second there's a slight chance that he hasn't got the mentality to come back in this squad and give his all, I don't think Eddie Howe would want him anywhere near the squad, and I think he'd already be a Liverpool player now if that was the case, regardless of the replacements coming in. But Eddie seems to have faith that it can change, and the noises have slightly changed a little bit going into this last week of the transfer window. I think Liverpool will come back with a bid, but I'm not sure there's going to be enough to get the deal done.
And Connor, just on that one, Liverpool have obviously only bid once for him, yeah? I look at it now, if they really wanted him, they obviously do, and it's going to be important, they're obviously waiting, but they've gone, Newcastle have got, it's 150 million. How I look at it at the moment is, yes, if Liverpool can get him in, it'd be fantastic. But I've been a bit surprised with how well Ekatike's done. He's led the line for Liverpool, superb. I mean, is that in a thought process of, do we now need two? Do we need both? Because 150 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, it is a lot of money, and it's it'd be certainly looking at the deals that Liverpool have done in the last couple of years. It'd be sort of unheard of for us to go and spend that kind of money on a player as well. So it needs to be right. It needs to be the right deal for all involved, and of course it has to meet what Newcastle want as well. I think Ekatike coming in and doing so well is a really interesting one. I think we all knew we were getting a top player, and I think from Liverpool's side, and I trying to stay well away from Chris's kind of as he said, the splintered opinion on it and the emotional side of it. Because I think from a Liverpool side, it's a really interesting one. You're looking at it and going, yeah, we wanted Isak first. Yes, he's obviously one of the top forwards in Europe at the moment. Failing that, we went and got Ekatike, who's also in that bracket of certainly a bit more up and coming, but one of the top forwards at the moment, and he's proven that as well. Would it be nice to have them both? Yeah, I think both. There was a point in the window where probably both Chris and I would have said the same thing when I think the noise coming out of Newcastle were potentially to have them playing together. The thought of having them playing together at Liverpool is certainly enticing. But yeah, 150 million is a lot of money, and whether we're willing to pay that or not, my instinct is that if we do go back in with a bid, it might settle somewhere in the middle, and we'll find some middle ground there. 150 million is probably fair valuation, but then with everything that's gone on, would Newcastle accept something a little bit lower than that? I guess we'd have to wait and see.